Good afternoon to all of you. Okay, so welcome you all in this class, right? So we will start. Today we will talk a little bit out of your syllabus, which is not there in syllabus, but it is worth studying. So, and without whom or without which portion the Indian national movement or nationalism in India cannot be completed. But still, as your topic is Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi and the national movement, this part is not there. But as you don't have any other chapter to deal with the nationalism, so I will include this in your own syllabus. Questions may not come from this part, but it's worth listening, it's worth understanding. Can you guess about whom I am talking about? About whom I am talking? Yes, Ashmita is correct. So we are I am talking about Subhash Chandra Bose and our beloved Netaji. So we will have many netas and many leaders of our country, but only one Netaji we are having, and that is Mr. Subhash Chandra Bose. So Subhash Chandra Bose, today I dedicate the class to him, and we will listen to his contributions and his clashes, his ideologies and his contributions to Indian national movement. Okay, so Subhash Chandra Bose, he was born at Cuttack and he got the schooling there, and he came back to Calcutta for his college, and then he started studying in Calcutta. From the very childhood, he had a very good upbringing, and thus he was guided in his early days by one of his brothers, who is very well known and who is Sharad Chandra Bose. So Sharad Chandra Bose and his wife mainly motivated Subhash in the nationalistic ideas and nationalistic views of Indian struggle. So when Subhash Chandra Bose became old enough to join the politics, he joined the Indian National Congress, and he not only became one of the very popular leaders, but he became one of the most radical leader of National Congress. When this man, when he started his job, he was an IS student, and he also got the job of the mayor of Calcutta. But as he was engaged in this national movement, he left his job and he went in a rigorous politics in the Indian national movement. He and Jawaharlal Nehru were more or less contemporary to each other, and they continue to deal in the politics in their own way. But yes, Subhash, as he was young, he believed each and every word of Bapu, and he respected Bapu for the last day of his life. But the point is that that he believed that some radical moves had to be taken, without which India will never achieve the independence. So, when the non-cooperation movement was abruptly abandoned, he was not happy. When during the civil disobedience movement 1930s and during the Gandhi-Arvind Pact, Subhash Chandra Bose was also not happy. And when Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev and Rajguru, they were in jail, and when they were fighting against the jail rules and they were having fast unto death, and I told you that one of their comrades, Jatin Das, he died during that hunger strike. It was Subhash Chandra Bose who went inside the jail, met Bhagat Singh and all, and took the dead body of Jatin Das himself out for the cremation, being a congressman. And he was so popular for this reasons that he was accepted by all of the regions of India. In every corner, people loved him, and that is why in the 1935 Congress session, he was chosen as the president. He became the first president, and after being the president, Subhash Chandra Bose tried to radicalize Congress, tried to introduce those reforms in Congress where the Congress take some initiative within the government to stop everything, to stop the nonsense, to stop the whatever is going there. And he became very popular, right? And then the next year, not next year, next to next year, in 1937, again there was a demand for making Subhash Chandra Bose as a second president of the Congress. So what happened, that Subhash was ready to be the second president, but that time Gandhiji was not ready or was not happy with the processes of Subhash. In many ideologies, in many ideas, Subhash and Gandhiji, they were having differences, they were having some clashes, but both respected each other and both had different views. Okay. Now what happened, that when the election time came, Gandhiji, he put another candidate, against Subhash, and he was Pattavi Sitaramaiah. But when the election took place, when the election was over, the result was very obvious that Subhash won the election. Subhash got immense majority and Pattavi Sitaramaiah had lost in the election. So for the second time, Subhash Chandra Bose was elected to be the president of Indian National Congress. But Gandhiji, in a public press meeting, he declared very clearly that Sitaramaiah's defeat is my defeat, which very clearly showed the clashes between Subhash and Gandhiji. Very clearly showed it. And Subhash, as he had immense respect and love for Bapu, he went to Bapu, they had a meeting, and as they do not agreed in the same point, Subhash left the post of the president of Congress and he came out of Congress in 1937. So when he came out of Congress, he founded his new political party known as the Forward Bloc, and he started to revolt, he started to move against the British government in his own ways. And as this was going on, he was arrested because he was thought, and that was the time when in Europe the Second World War had started. 37 Congress, Subhash Chandra Bose left Congress, he created Forward Bloc, and 1939 the Second World War started, right. So within that time, that was a turmoil period, so the British government, they thought that Subhash is going to influence the war and they can attack Subhash. So what happened? Well, Subhash was sent to home isolation or home, he was arrested at first, and as his health condition deteriorated, he was sent back to home and it was put under house arrest. He was put in isolation and house arrest in the home. But still this could not stop Subhash Chandra Bose, because this was the time when Subhash was planning to leave India and to meet hands and to shake hands with British enemies in Europe. He understood and he believed that without an armed revolution, without an armed movement, India could never gain the independence or whatever they wanted. It will be never gained, right. So in a one fine morning, we cannot say night, in disguise, and Sharat Chandra Bose's son, his own nephew, drove him out of the house and the police could not understand that was Subhash Chandra Bose. They went throughout the roadways and reached to the Bihar and the Gomo railway station, and from Gomo railway station he took a train towards Kalka, which is in Himachal, okay, the entry point of Himachal, and he went there, and the next day the news was there that Subhash Chandra Bose is missing. And as Subhash Chandra Bose was missing, everyone started to search for him. There were police parties, there were other methods, because that time was, we are talking about, that is the mid 20th century. So there was the police system, the investigations were going on, but that was a time when Subhash Chandra Bose was crossing the Indian borders through Afghanistan, because through Afghanistan he went first to Russia, and from Russia he went to Italy, and he wanted to meet Mussolini and have some kind of measures against the British government. But in Italy somebody told him that better than Mussolini, it's Hitler. So then again he went to meet Hitler. Why he went to meet Hitler? You know that Hitler was a man who is known for his crimes against humanity, but because Subhash Chandra Bose believed in this theory that enemy's enemy is my friend. So English was Subhash's enemy and enemy's enemy was Hitler. So that should be Subhash's friend, and he literally went to meet Hitler. It is proved now that Hitler had said few words with Subhash Chandra Bose and he agreed to help Subhash, but he said clearly that in the middle of the Second World War it is not possible for Hitler to send some German soldiers to India to fight against Britain. So he told Subhash that you can use the POWs of First World War in Germany. What is this POW? Prisoners of war. That means during the First World War, as Indian soldiers fought for Britain, many Indian soldiers or the prisoners of war were arrested by the German soldiers and they are still residing in Germany. And they were told that in Japan, who was again an ally of the Axis power, there another man was trying to form another army. Subhash Chandra Bose can go to Japan and meet that person and can lead that army to fulfill his dream. So it was in Germany Subhash Chandra Bose met first of his soldiers, the POWs of First World War, and he used the Berlin radio for transmitting his own ideas. It was from Berlin radio his voice came to India, and it says that I am Subhash Chandra Bose speaking. Everyone in India, they thought that as Subhash Chandra Bose is missing and he is nowhere found in India, many people thought that he have died. Many people thought that the Britishers have killed him and sent his dead body to somewhere else and not given the dead body to his own family too. His own family members, they were also not sure that what actually Subhash Chandra Bose is doing or where actually Subhash Chandra Bose was. So it was the first time when Subhash Chandra Bose used the Berlin radio and say that I am Subhash Chandra Bose speaking, everyone, they wake up with a new hope. When I am saying this, I am having the goosebumps. Just imagine that you are thinking about a man, a Bengali man with a specs and a bald head, with a big smile. You are in the British India and somebody is giving you hope, telling you that we are bringing the freedom for you, and he is talking this from Germany, he is talking this from Berlin. Isn't it very like a dream? So people started dreaming that one day Subhash Chandra Bose is coming. So then Subhash Chandra Bose, he made his historic, his majestic journey from Europe to Japan in the submarine in the middle of Second World War. And when he reached Japan, he saw that there another Bengali man who was also a leader, whose name was, what was his name? Who actually organized the Indian National Army or INA. What was his name? Very good. Rash Bihari, S.H. Ashmita, okay, Rash Bihari Basu or Rash Bihari Bose. So he was the man who who tried to create the army there, and when Subhash reached there, Subhash was renamed as Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose by Rash Bihari Bose, and he became the leader of the new army, and he renamed the army as Azad Hind Fauj or Indian National Army. So with that army, he had a dream that with the backing up of the Japanese soldiers and the Japanese government, he will come towards India, because he came up to Rangoon. Then from Rangoon, he tried to enter India, and up to Imphal he had entered. You remember that when we were dealing with the rebels and the Raj, I told you that Bahadur Shah Zafar II was the last Mughal ruler who was sent to Rangoon, and he died there unnoticed. And I told you that Subhash Chandra Bose was the last person who paid a homage to his tomb, right? So this was the time when Subhash Chandra Bose went to Rangoon and paid homage to his tomb of Bahadur Shah Zafar II. Then he also came to the two islands, that is Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which was renamed under him. The Japanese have captured it from the Britishers, and then they handed over to Subhash Chandra Bose. Thus Subhash Chandra Bose renamed these two islands as Swaraj and Shaheed. Shaheed and Swaraj were the two names of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which was given by Subhash Chandra Bose. So till Imphal they came, but when they reached Imphal, that was a time of 1942, post 1942, and that was the time when the Axis power was losing in the Second World War. The England has started, the Japan have dropped the bombs in the Pearl Harbor, and US was planning to drop the 2 atomic bombs to Japan. So in this situation, suddenly the Japanese government stopped giving support to Subhash Chandra Bose, and the soldiers were merely dying during this area, because that was the time of monsoon in this area. So the soldiers were having monsoon related diseases, cholera, diarrhea, all these type of diseases, and they were dying, but still they had hope that Subhash Chandra Bose will lead them. But finally Subhash Chandra Bose, he understood that this is the time to retreat back. He ordered his forces to retreat back, and in this way the Azad Hind Fauj and the British Indian Army, they had a great fight, and the other leaders of Azad Hind Fauj like Dhillon was there, Shah Nawaz Khan was there, and others, P.K. Saigal was there. So they requested Netaji that he should go to Russia and take the help of the Russian government, and then again he should plan some other thing. So that was the time that he took the flight from the Saigon airport, and after he flew, the plane crashed. We don't know what happened afterwards, but it is sure that he died in that plane crash, because during that time safety measures in the planes were not there. There are many theories, there are many stories, there are many books, there are many films nowadays who tell that Netaji never died there, but it is still not proved, so we cannot say. So till then we have to maintain this theory that in 1942, in the 1945, sorry, during that last flight from Saigon, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose died, and we never forget his contribution, because he was the first Indian who had dreamt of an armed revolution. He created his own army, and the people, the soldiers, those who fought for him, had immense courage for him and immense love for him. Maybe whatever he did, it was a complete failure, but his contributions are never ever to be forgotten, right? So any questions, doubts? Any questions, doubts? Okay, so I hope there are no questions and doubts within you. So I'll stop here. Next class, next week, we will start from the last portion of Gandhian movement, that is the Quit India movement and others. Okay, fine. Thank you and goodbye.